Okay, so we've gone through a couple steps of the rapid money method. We got to know what we want. We got to really own what we want. We got to put that ask out there, and then we have to start getting the emotions out that are creating the emotional coding, that are creating the money experience that we don't want. And we gave that example of that $10,000. We ask for it, the universe gives it to us, but then the emotional coding is standing in our way. And the triggers, our judgments, our criticisms really help us see clearly all of that stuff that's deep within that really needs to start being felt and cleaned out so that we can rewrite the story. This is also what you can use if you don't know what you want, but you know what you don't want. You can also just start using your judgments and your criticisms to just start cleaning stuff out, which will help you start to get more clearer on who you are and what you want in regards to life and money and all of that good stuff. Okay, so the next step that we're going to really look at, and guys, realize as I'm going through these steps with you, these steps aren't always like do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Sometimes it's like I said, you don't even know what you want. So we're already skipping to step 3, where we're just going to start using our criticisms, our judgments, the things that are showing up in our lives that are causing, and we're going to start using the rapid relief technique to really get to the emotional core of these things so that we can open up our stuff. And so it's kind of almost like a circle we're going in, where it's like we might be over here and then we're going to come over here and then over here. And so realize that as you do this. And if this is feeling like complicated and like, this is where I really recommend doing the money makeover, because it's like the course takes you through, okay, here we are. We're going to get rid of all of our anger around money. Okay, here we are. Now we're going to look at all of our ancestral stuff that's deep inside. Okay, now we're going to look around all of our money shame and, and clean that out. So it really takes you step by step through each area, our money fears, our money mistakes. Let's look at forgiveness. Like, it goes through each thing step by step to really clear that out. It's like the bigger part of this step of kind of cleaning out all of this so we can rewrite the story, which is our next step, is really rewriting the belief systems, the deep knowings, so that we have a different experience. What you know is what you create. And remember, I used in another video that example of why rich people stay rich for the most part is because they know that money is here for them. They know that money always works for them. They know that money is a tool, that there's like no shame about it. Having money is good. Having money is helpful, that they get to have money. They're around people that show them consistently this. It's their constant experience that keeps getting reinforced. And so it's easy for it to just be what they know and what happens for them. Now, come back to a lot of other people in this world. We are showed a lot of different things in this world. Our experience can be all over the place when it comes to money. And often we are consistently shown programming that is not helpful to us. We're consistently shown people who are working really hard for not a lot of money. We're consistently shown the other shoe dropping. We're consistently shown people in debt. We're consistently shown, not being able to get ahead. Only a few people are rich. We're consistently shown rich people who are greedy and exploitative and doing terrible things to the earth and to other people. We're shown a lot of these things, which just reinforces a lot of these beliefs that are in us. And so this next step is we got to rewrite these belief systems. We got to rewrite these belief systems. We got to support the new belief systems with examples. We still got to see what's in the way of these new belief systems. And then we got to become like so obsessed with them, bringing them in. So as we do the last process of cleaning and expressing all of the old junk out, we create like a new slate. And in this new slate, we can finally start putting the new stuff in. So when you do your affirmations and you're feeling into them and all of that, that's that's the last step. We always make that the first step often. We're like, okay, I'm just going to start feeling into what I want. I want this. I want this. We're going to visualize. I know so much of the manifesting and bringing in fast money is all about visualizing. I'm going to tell you, visualizing is a really small part of it if you can't feel it. If your body is not connected to it, if your emotional coding is not connected to it, visualizing doesn't get you very far. We got to visualize, and while we're visualizing, we got to actually feel it. It's got to be like we're living in it. And often we can't do that again because the old emotional coding is stuck there. So again, back to that other step, we got to clear that out. Once we do that, we get to sit down and we actually get to start looking at our belief systems. We get to start looking at how we change them. So let's go back to our example. Our $10,000, we've asked for it. Universe has given it to us. We can't see it. It's not there, even though it's there. We're using what's happening. Let's say now all of a sudden, money isn't coming in as fast. And, you were annoyed at that guy who cut you off when you were driving. And so you've been using all of this, right? I never get what I want. Remember, we found that core belief. I never get what I want. When I do get what I want, it takes forever and it's hard, right? Maybe we found some other beliefs along the ways that are like, money never comes easily to me. I always have to work hard for my money. I always have to trade my time for money. And then often we get to some of the bigger ones that are like, I'm not good enough. I haven't done enough. I'm not worthy. This is probably one of the biggest ones, and we do a lot of work on this in our money makeover, is I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of all of this money. I'm not worthy of all of this good. Also, I owe. We're often taught from very young that we owe. We owe our lives to our parents. We owe our lives to God and the Creator and all of this, right? We owe. And so this is where debt often shows up. We do a whole thing in that on the money makeover, really understanding the energetics behind debt, because often you will make more money, but you will still find yourself having trouble getting out of debt because it's an energetic thing. It's a emotional experience thing. We feel like we owe, and we got to get down to those core beliefs, or we were taught that, actually feel them, get them out of our bodies so that we can change the belief systems. So the next step here is changing the belief systems. So if we know one of our old beliefs is, I never get what I want. Okay, well, we need to write down the new belief system, which is, of course I get what I want. Of course I get what I want. And getting what I want can feel easy, can feel good, can happen quickly, right? Maybe we had a belief, like we said, that I owe the world all of this. I'm a burden, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff we're taught in childhood. Now it's none of those things. I am a joy to be around. Money loves to support me and take care of me. I am well taken care of and well loved. People love to pay me. People love to support me. Money loves to support me. Money is actually really easy to make. So we start writing down these new beliefs, and then we actually want to take it a step further, and we want to create belief systems that are around there. So I'll give you an example for me. So I remember when COVID hit years ago, and I was growing my business at that point. And I remember that before COVID hit, that year I had woken up. It was like January of like 2020. And I remember waking up and I remember being like, this is my $1 million year. And I had been doing a lot of work around this, a lot of clearing out my money beliefs, my coding, my energetic stuff, cleaning out the stuff from my childhood, cleaning out the stuff from my ancestors, like really cleaning out, and then really working and focusing on the beliefs, the new beliefs, and like just becoming obsessed with them and bringing them into my body and feeling it. And so I had done the work. And that's the cool thing, guys, about when you do this work, when you really use this method and you stick to it and you keep doing it, you don't feel like you're fighting yourself anymore. A lot of times when it comes to manifesting, creating, changing something in our life, we're fighting that natural coding, and it's exhausting. And so it's like, you want to change how you show up with your money. So it's like, okay, I'm going to budget, and I'm not going to spend money here, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to stick to this. And so we're trying really hard to stick to it, and it lasts for a little while, but then we revert back to our old ways. We often say that the self-sabotage, the patterns come back, and realize this isn't necessarily like self-sabotage or like it is old patterns coming back, but what it really was you trying to override your emotional coding. And when you're trying to override your emotional coding, it gets exhausting after a while. Your body can only do it so much. This is why so many people, I feel like, have burnout when it comes to making money, is that they have to do it in a way to override their emotional coding. And so it's exhausting, and they can only do it for so long. That's not how it's supposed to be. If we're in line with our coding, and our coding actually supports what we truly want, it's easy. And so truly, I just started showing up differently. It was like I literally woke up one day and was like, this is my $1 million year. And it wasn't a pipe dream. It wasn't something that felt like a hope. It felt like a knowing. It was like, I know this is going to happen. I even remember like turning to my husband and I was like, I'm going to have $1 million year this year. And he was like, okay, I'll believe that when I see it. And I was like, fine. Him and I kind of live in, well, at that point, I feel like we lived in different realities. Like, he was always like, I don't know about this way you do things. Now he'll be like, literally go cry. Your tears make us millions. Get it out. You can do it. Like, now he's seen it work, and often people need to see things work before they really like can believe in it and understand that it actually does work this way. So I literally had woken up and I was like, this is my $1 million year. Like, I'm ready. Let's go. And everything was off to a great start, and then COVID hit, and the whole world went upside down. I all of a sudden was like, oh my God, this isn't going to happen for me. This isn't going to happen for me. Like, it's a pandemic, and my kids are now home with me, and my husband is now home with me because his office closed, and I was like, and we were in the middle of a home renovation. Like, it was a hot mess, and I was like, there's no way this is going to happen now. And then I was like, wait a second. No, it is going to happen. It is going to happen. But I had to, again, look at the stuff, the coding that was in there. Like, this can't happen when I have, kids at home with me. I won't have enough time. I won't have this. And I had to create the new belief systems. And a lot of the stuff I had to really create was around, again, one of the things was people love to pay me. I have $1 million business, but then I took it a step deeper and created the belief system. Okay, if I truly believed that I had $1 million business and people love to pay me, what would that mean? Well, it would mean that I have lots of customers even during COVID. It would mean that people are still paying even though the world is upside down. It would mean that there's lots of people out in the world who are still looking for this work, no matter what's going on in the world, right? So I had to make it really kind of specific. These belief systems are more specific. So instead of just saying like, I'm a money magnet, money comes to me easily. Okay, if you were a money magnet and money came to you easily, well, what would that mean? Well, it would mean that my bank account every day, $100 or more is showing up in there. It would mean that there is money coming to me in surprise ways. Every day I am surprised in some way or another of money coming to me. Maybe it comes in the mail. Maybe it comes through this. It's really supporting. You have to support that. And you really have to also look at some of the stuff you are cleaning out and try to replace some of those things. Like I had a lot of stuff around like, oh, I'm a burden and I owe. And like I said, that was where a lot of my debt came from and where I've seen a lot of other people's debt come from as well. And so that was something I had to really continue to reinforce in my belief systems that like, no, like money loves to support me. Like I owe nobody nothing. I am important. My dreams and desires are important. I am important and money shows up for me. So it's really rewriting those and then creating the belief systems that are going to really support that. And again, in Money Makeover, I give you a lot of this. Like I even have like a whole like worksheet called our energetic standards that you go through that caught like who am I going to be? How do I show up? And like a lot of examples that really help with that as well if you're wanting more help with that. Because sometimes it can be kind of like, how do I do this? Like, I don't know the beliefs because we didn't have them, and so that's really helpful in that more robust course to go into those. So once we have the belief systems, it can help to have proof. Our brain loves proof. Our brain loves proof. So it can really help for us to start seeing other people who are doing the things we want, finding, other areas in our life where we've done it. Like, okay, well, let's see. I want to make, and this is what I kind of did when I wanted to make $1 million. I was like, I want to make $1 million. Okay, have I ever actually made $1 million in my life? Okay, well, not in a year period. And I actually ended up making $1 million in less than 6 months. And that year was actually a $2.6 million year. So blew it out of the water. This work works. And for context, you guys, barely a year before that, my bank account was overdrafted by -$1,000. So like, it wasn't like, you know, I was already for years had been making like $500,000 and finally like got there. Like, no, I had like no money and then I had all the money. So this really does work. That's why it's called the rapid money method. It really does work well, and it can work very quickly when you really start to put the work in. Okay, so I needed proof of this, right? I wanted to make $1 million. I hadn't made $1 million in a year, and that can often be hard for our brains to like believe that it can happen. So the first thing was actually like looking to see other people who had done that. Like, oh wow, this person's done this. Oh wow, this person's done this. And also looking to see how much money I had made over a period of time. So when I actually looked over my whole life, I had actually made over $1 million between my corporate careers, different things, different stuff. I had actually done that. And so it was like, okay, I actually do know what it's like. I actually have made $1 million. So now I just need to do it in a shorter period of time. So it can really help for you to look back at your stuff and say like, well, what have I done? Also, it helps to look back at this. And, you know, in Money Makeover, we actually have you guys go through a budget and look back at all what you've been doing with your money. We go into a lot more of the tangible stuff in that course as well, because a lot of that stuff will also bring up emotions. You're also going to look back and be like, oh my God, I haven't made that much money. Or, oh my God, I feel so much shame around this thing that I did. Oh my God, look at all of my credit card debt. Oh my God, look at all this. And it'll actually bring up the emotions again that are creating this experience so that you can finally start to break free from that experience and again, create the new beliefs and actually start to believe them and then find proof for them. If you can't find proof, keep looking. And this is why I love having like the bigger, robust course and the community aspect of it and all of that, because like you can ask people, you see people with their daily wins and you see the testimonials and you see all of that, and it makes it like, oh yeah, okay, this is good. This can happen. This can happen. And our brain likes that. It's like when the guy who ran the mile, right? It was like he ran like nobody could break. I don't even know what it was. The 3-minute mile, the 4-minute mile, something. Nobody could break it. And then when the first guy finally did it, it was like 10 people after him in a year broke it as well. When we see somebody else do something, it really helps us, our brain say, I can do this. And once the brain gets on board and is like, okay, we can do this, now it's just removing that emotional coding that stands in the way, right? It's like, okay, our brain knows it, but now our body needs to know it. In order for our body to know it, we got to keep removing the emotional coding, putting in the new belief systems, knowing it. Once we know it in our body, again, it can help to let our brain know it. So we're like these two pieces. Like I said, it's kind of like we're working in like circles and tandems here. We need the brain on board and we need the body on board. Sometimes the brain gets on board first and we got to get the body on board. Sometimes we get the body on board, but then we got to show the brain the proof that we can actually do it. Okay? So are we getting this full method? We got to know what we want. We got to know what we want. We got to own it. We got to clear out the emotions, the coding. Again, the tapping is my favorite for this. We go into it more in Money Makeover, really going through each piece and part of, you know, your money anger, your money shame, your money mistakes, your ancestral money. Your we go through it all to make sure that it's really getting cleaned out, doing some forgiveness work, all of that. We go real deep into a lot of that because a lot of us have a lot of shame around money. Shame, guilt, and fear are like the 3 things blocking your money from coming in. You think it's your actions, you think it's your job, you think it's this, it's these 3 things. Because once we get rid of these 3 things, your actions, you start showing up different. You start feeling different. Things start happening in your life that are different. This is where the magic starts to happen. Okay. Our last step to this is really going into our bubble. It's really going into our bubble. There's a couple last steps. It's going into our bubble, and it's really getting into our bubble and not looking at the things that reinforce the old stuff. So if you're watching a TV show, you know, that constantly has like a woman that reminds you of yourself, working hard and struggling, stop watching that show, right? If you hang out with friends that just are always talking about how hard it is to make money, how hard take a break from them. because you need to go into your money bubble and you really need to be putting the good stuff in. You really need to be reinforcing this. And then you really need to be looking at the action piece to this. So a lot of people start with the actions to change their money first before doing all the work I just gave you. If you try to do the actions, and I just said kind of what would happen, in the other video, it's often like we feel like we're fighting against ourselves. It's like we're doing the things that we're exhausted because we're fighting against our underlying emotional coding. Once we clean out the emotional coding, once we clean out and do this work that I've been talking about, all of a sudden it's like the world is your oyster. Like you feel different, you're ready to show up, but there's still an action piece. There's still a physical aspect to money. And like I said very early on in the first video, maybe the second video, don't really remember, if you're only doing the emotional and energetic piece and you're not getting the money you want, it's the physical part you got to work on. If you're working on the physical part and it's not working, the emotion, the energetics is where we got to look. And I watch a lot of people get into this work that I'm doing, and they do a lot of the emotional and they do a lot of the energetic work, and they forget about the physical piece of money. What's the physical piece of money? Budgeting. And I don't mean budgeting in the way you think I do. I don't mean limiting yourself. I mean knowing where your money goes. The way I teach budgeting and the way I teach it in the Money Makeover is you got to know where your money goes. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what feels good, what doesn't feel good. You got to get that cleaned up. And then we got to create our future budget, and we got to start moving into that. Who am I going to be? How am I going to show up? What am I going to do to create this future of money that I have? How am I going to invest? How am I going to do this? What does this look like? All of this. So there's the physical part of the money too. Like, how do I show up? What do I do? Do I need to ask for a raise? Do I need to go do this? But all of that needs to happen after we do all of these things. A lot of the manifesting world tells you to jump long before you're ready to jump, right? It's like, oh, just believe you can do it. Just quit your job and go and jump. And then I watch somebody who does that a year from now is like completely broke in all of this debt, has no idea how to get out of this hole. And they're like, well, I don't know. I thought like they told me to jump and I was scared, and they said, it's okay to be scared. Look, it's okay to be nervous doing something, but if there's a lot of doubt inside of you when you're jumping and you're taking the leap, it means that you got to deal with that doubt first before you jump. Jumping should feel exciting, nervousness, but like it's going to work. That's when you jump. When you're like, oh, okay, I'm nervous, but like, this is it. This is the thing. I can feel it in my gut. Like, I can feel it. I can feel it. This is going to work. And then you jump. Until then, you keep doing the work. You keep doing the work. You keep doing the work. You keep clearing out the emotions. You keep doing the things. And so the action piece of this is not going to be like, go wild, quit your job, start the business, go spend the $10,000 that you don't have. Like, no. The action piece of this is we got to start looking at our money. And a lot of people don't like to look at their money. You need to look at your money. You need to look at your money. You need to know what's coming, what's going, what's happening, the full picture of your money. Because half the time you're going to do that and you're going to be like, oh my God, I have 3 subscriptions on here for $180 that I've been paying that I don't even use, that I wasn't even paying attention to. Ew, that doesn't feel good. Let's get rid of those. Oh, wow, I didn't even realize I was spending $60 on coffee every month. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter that you're spending $60 on coffee. I have no problem with that. You can spend your money on whatever you want. I am not somebody that's like, you shouldn't spend here and you shouldn't do this and you're in debt, so don't spend any money. No. It's all about feeling. If you're spending $60 on coffee a month and you're like, hell yeah, actually I wish I was spending $120 on coffee. Okay, then on your new budget, put $120. But if you're hitting that and you're feeling icky about it, I don't want to be doing that. Then this is where we need to change it. This is where this needs to shift. We need to clean up the tangible side of our money, the physical aspect of it, so it starts to feel better. If you are holding debt in certain areas and it feels fine to you, like you're paying it, you're doing it, it feels good, keep it. If it doesn't, okay, then we need to sit, we need to figure out a plan, we need to look at how this works and how we actually structure this different so that it feels better, it's starting to shift, all of that good stuff. And then again, we need to use these situations to get out the emotions because again, a lot of it is just coded and is creating our experience. Okay. How are we feeling? That was a lot. These modules. Okay. I hope this was helpful. I hope these steps makes sense. Go back, rewatch these, take it all in, keep doing these steps. And again, I highly recommend Money Makeover, where we make each one of these steps a whole lot easier. There's formulas, there's worksheets, there's workbooks, there's tappings that take you through where it's just me saying all the things and you repeat afterwards. It's just pulling out all the stuff. It makes it faster, it makes it easier, so that sooner you get to have more money, which is the goal. Let's bring in more money. More money, come to me. Let's do it. You get to have all the money your heart desires. You are meant for it. If it's on your heart, it's meant for you. Now it's up to you to own it, to believe it, to clear out all the gunk standing in the way, and to bring it in. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. All right, beautiful human. Goodbye.